Welcome to Life-Changing Challengers, the podcast where passion meets purpose. I'm Brad Minus, your host, guiding you through stories of transformation and triumph, from endurance feats to overcoming adversity. Our guests defy the limits and inspire action. Ready to ignite your desire and incinerate your barriers? Join us. Your journey to the extraordinary begins now. And welcome back to another episode of Life-Changing Challengers. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce Blake Lefkoe. He is the Lefkoe Method facilitator, which, obviously you can tell by her last name, was created within her family. And we are going to learn that story right away. Probably going to be one of the first things we get to talk about. But of course, Blake is going to get more into detail on it. So Blake, how are you doing today?
Oh, great. Thank you. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much. So Blake, let me ask you, can you tell us a little bit about your childhood? You know, like where you grew up, what was the complement of your family, and what was it like to be Blake as a kid?
Yeah, so I grew up, I have a younger sister. She's 6 years younger. My parents were happily married, grew up on the East Coast, and my life was really good.
Okay.
I had a positive childhood. I had two parents that adored me and loved me. No childhood is perfect. No parents are perfect. But as far as they go, I had a really supportive, loving home life. My dad created this process when I was a kid, and he worked out of the house. And my mom mostly didn't work when we were kids. And then as we went to school, she started working when we were at school, and she became a facilitator of this process as well. So my parents were home a lot of attention. Definitely, as I got a little older, it was kind of too much. You know, instead of like getting in trouble, we'd have to sit down and have a family meeting. And I was like, oh my God, can't you just yell at me? On my way, you know? So it's funny because I grew up in this house with two people that were really in the personal development field, and they always wanted to kind of process everything and have conversations and talk about it and why, you know, what's underneath and what do you believe? And I just went 180 and I was like, I'm going to just rebel against all of this. And I don't want to look at my stuff, and I don't like personal development, and I don't like personal growth. And I just became a hedonist. And at 14, I discovered drugs, sex, rock and roll, and kind of just really went that route.
Well, we could go into details if you want to. Do that? It's so 14. Wow, you went. That's actually even younger than I would have expected. But you know what? I can't really. I don't know if I blame you. I mean, I don't blame you. Obviously, I don't. But what I'm saying is, you know what I mean? It seems almost normal because that's at that point. Like, if you're too much of one thing, too much of the same thing, and especially when you're at 14 and that frontal cortex is not completely, hasn't completely healed, hasn't completely closed off, and that doesn't happen until 25 anyway. But at 14 is your real, like, especially as a woman, is this real switch, that happens. I know this because I watched my niece go through it in front of my eyes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, I'm serious. We were at Universal Studios, and it was at night. She just recently was the sweetest thing. I'm not being facetious about this. I'm being 100% honest. She's 13 years old, and I saw her go from this big giant smile, this teeny pre-teeny bopper mentality, to in 1 second go, all of a sudden she became mean and sarcastic.
Sure. I mean, I went to a small kind of like alternative hippie school, and freshman year I went to a public high school, and I was like, oh my God, everything is here and I want all of it. So that was also a piece of that, right? From this kind of small sheltered, like
Mennonite school.
and then getting let out, going full bore. So I got really into partying and boys and this and that. I turned 18 and I started traveling, and I ended up in Hawaii. And then for a decade, I traveled and I commercial fished in Alaska to make money. I just lived like a very kind of unusual lifestyle. And
That's hold on. You can't drop that and not give us a little detail. You moved to Hawaii and then decided to go to Alaska.
so there's a big Hawaii-Alaska connection, right? So the waves stop here in the summer where I live. And so people leave for summers, and Alaska has a lot of jobs in the summer. So you go there, you make all your money, you come back, and then you can just surf and cruise for the rest of the year. So I just kind of lived this, hedonistic lifestyle. And what eventually happened was it went from being fun to waking up in my late 30s and being a bartending alcoholic single mom, dating people that I shouldn't have been dating. And just like I felt so unfulfilled that all that stuff that I like shunted from the personal growth, that there was this hole there that I kept trying to fill with other things and not going after what I wanted or what I should have been doing. It was just kind of a mess. And I woke up one morning and I was like, oh my God, like what happened? How did I end up here? Like, this is crazy. And so I found my way back to this process that, thank goodness, I had at my disposal. And through doing it, I got sober. I got out of the restaurant industry after 3 decades. I stopped being so defensive. I started being more open. I started attracting different people into my life. I started thinking differently about myself. I started parenting differently. I was able to get along with my son's father better because I stopped being triggered and I stopped engaging, right? We can't change other people. We can't change life, but we can change how we show up, the energy we bring. We can change our perspective of it. We can shift our perception, right? And all of that is going to change everything. So it was such a huge shift. It was so profound and it was so amazing. And I was like, I want to help other people experience this. I want to help other people find freedom. And whether that's freedom from anxiety or freedom to go after what they want in life or freedom to have the kind of relationship they want or freedom from suffering or from, poor self-esteem, like whatever that looks like. But the freedom to live your life the way that you want to live it and not that you were told you should live it was amazing. And so I took all the trainings and I was able to get certified and learn how to do this. And I've since started my own practice and it's so fulfilling. And the people in my life now are amazing and supportive. And I have an amazing partner and I have an amazing son that I have an incredible relationship with. Like everything was just shifted.
Okay, you can sit there and talk about hedonism and alcoholism and all that stuff, but until we really get to know what you were feeling and what was going on, I don't know if even I can understand how big of a shift this really is to experience. But this is, I think, is about as far as a shift as I think we that I've experienced with talking to people. So, okay, so we got the whole cool friggin' Hawaii, Alaska thing, which I personally think is super cool. That's not like everything that everybody gets to do. Now, did you make the smartest choices? No. Okay, great.
To be fair, I had to make all those choices to get where I'm at now. I was on a podcast and they said, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? And I was like, well, tell her just keep on keeping on. Like, I'm not going to tell her to do anything differently. Like, everything I did got me to where I'm at now. And I love where I'm at now. So It's hard to regret things.
But would you want to help your 18-year-old self get where you are faster?
No,
Mm, okay.
because everyone talks about it. They want to change. They want to change, but they don't actually do the things that they need to do to change. So until you're ready, until your life either gets unsustainable or something has to happen where you're like, enough.
Yeah.
I want better. I want more.
That's excellent self-actualization, I think. That's part of it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something that I came into when I stopped believing what negative self-talk actually was. Sometimes you need it. I'm not saying stuff like, oh my God, you're a loser, but stuff like, I really need to do this, or I need to find a way to shift myself to get back to where I was or step up or something like that.
But I don't think that's self-talk.
Exactly. But sometimes you need to step that back. You don't have to say you're a loser, but you're a wimp. You're wimping out, man. And I do that all the time to myself, and it usually helps. It's those morning workouts, 5:30 a.m. workouts, and you're like, God, I just don't want to do this. And I'm like, what are you thinking, man? Get your wimpy butt out of bed, get some shorts on, and go take a run like you're supposed to. That kind of negative self-talk. So you're a single parent, and are you at this point, right before the shift, are you still doing this whole go to Alaska for 3 months?
I stopped up when I got pregnant.
What did you do after that?
Restaurant.
Bartending. Okay. All right. So you went back to bartending. And so basically you were bartending at night, and then you're taking care of your kid during the day, or is it opposite, or?
Yeah, I did typically 3 night shifts a week, and he would go to his dad's house, and then I do 1 day shift, and I'd have him after that.
All right. Well, I mean, it's good that he still has a relationship with his dad, and you still are civil. So that's good, right? That doesn't happen. I can give you numerous instances of that. So that's a one thing that must be good. But you wake up one day, and you have your kid during the day. You get to spend time with them, and the whole bit. But what was it? Was it the night before? Something had to trigger this, like, oh, I'm thinking about this doesn't happen.
Yes. So this particular morning was 5 days after Halloween, and I had worked Halloween night, and it was just so much partying. And then I had my son Halloween night, and I think I worked all day. So I've been drinking all day, got him, had all his friends over, pizza, beer, walked through the neighborhood, bring a cart, drinks, whatever. And we got home, and like, I barely remembered the end of the night. And this is a night that's like, it's for the kids. Yeah. We'll have a couple beers or whatever with your friends, but like, Halloween is all about the kids. And I had gotten so drunk that I wasn't even present to be able to see my son enjoying it. So I wake up this morning with just this hangover. I had just broken up with a guy that I tried to make it work with for a long time. And he didn't want a child. He didn't want a family. And I had a child and was a family. And so instead of saying like hard no, I just kept trying, because it was like, again, there was this hole, this void. I just needed to fill it with things, and nothing worked. So I just kept saying, oh, I need more, right? Like, I need this person. I need this love. I need this validation. I need this thing, even though it wasn't working for my life. So finally broke up with him, hungover. What else happened? My back was out. So I'm like an avid water woman. I do all these crazy things in the ocean. Back was out. Couldn't get in the ocean. I was in a ton of pain. And I was just like heartbroken, physically felt broken, emotionally broken, hungover. And I was just like, no more. Like, no.
Yes.
There was just something missing. And what I kept trying to fill this hole with was only taking me further away from what I actually needed. Like externally for things, it's never going to work. You have to find it's so cliche, right? But like, you're never going to, the car, the house, the woman, like nothing's going to make you happy until you're happy. So until I was able to fill that void myself, nothing I put in there was going to make a difference. It was all just going to continue to harm me. So I started that process of eliminating these beliefs that were keeping me stuck.
Okay.
So we all have beliefs about everything. The ones that get in our way are the ones that limit us. We all have beliefs about ourselves, relationships, life, money, whatever it is. And those beliefs determine our reality. And not only do they determine our reality, they determine what shows up, they determine how we see things, but energetically, that's what we attract, right? If you believe I have to work really hard for money and money is scarce and money doesn't come to me, it's not going to. It doesn't matter if you do, something's going to show up and take it. Something's going to happen. There's always going to be these things. When you eliminate those beliefs, you make space for that money to come and for that money to stay. When it comes to personal stuff, if you have the belief, I'm not good enough, nothing I do is good enough, mistakes and failures are bad, if I make a mistake, I'll be rejected, how likely are you to start a project? You're not. So you procrastinate. So anyone that comes to me with procrastination has beliefs like this that keep them from going after what they want to because they have a fear of failure, because they feel like they're not good enough. So when you get rid of these beliefs, now the pattern actually just changes. You don't have to change the pattern. It just changes. Because if you're not afraid of failing and you believe that mistakes and failures are amazing learning opportunities, and that if you make a mistake and you fail, you won't be rejected, you'll be celebrated by the people in your life that are supposed to be there, you're not going to procrastinate anymore.
So the deep-seated fears that we have is basically what you're saying is that the fears which become beliefs.
No,
because
fears are caused by beliefs.
Okay, the fears are caused by beliefs.
So we have the beliefs actually create our emotions. Our emotions are the result of our beliefs.
Yes, I like that. That is great. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that we fear.
I personally, from working with a lot of people, I feel like most people actually believe that they're powerless. And you can tell this because when people feel powerless, they get angry, right? That's the trigger. I feel powerless, I get angry. So when people are in a situation where they feel powerless, they get angry. And it's not because they feel powerful and full of light and that's scary. It's because they have the belief I'm powerless and that gets triggered. And so they become angry. And when you get rid of that belief, you're able to show up in those situations differently, right? When we're reactive, nothing good ever comes from being reactive. Right? If we're able to respond to a situation, we have a choice. How do we want to respond? What do we want to say? When we're reactive and we come with anger or insecurity or fear, we're reactive, nothing good can happen. So when you get rid of the beliefs that keep you stuck, whether it's in fear or anger, now you're able to decide how you want to show up in that moment because you're literally nullifying the trigger.
That's interesting. So, and stepping back just a minute as far as history goes, I'm curious. Those 30 odd years that you were away, were you still in communication with your parents?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So what was you wake up, you figure out, all right, there's something missing. I just went on a bender and my basically, I need to do this for my child is kind of what I'm is what I got from that.
So pretty happy.
Right. So my question to you is now that you realize that, okay, I pushed off all this personal development that I grew up with the whole time. And then you're like, well, wait a second, I got the tools. I just need to use them. What was your first step? What was that first action item that you took?
Not sure. I know that I started working with my sister was trained, my godmother was trained. I worked with my mom a little bit. I signed up for a ayahuasca ceremony. That was like the big jarring.
Wow.
That was a really helpful, energetic shift too, to start shedding things and seeing what was coming up and what I needed to work through.
That is the second episode that has mentioned that they went through ayahuasca and it changed, or I should say that it opened things up.
Yeah, you know? I've had a lot of experience with it.
And we might have to, R2, just talk about that because I understand that it's jarring, but yet when you get to a certain part of it, that it opens things up. All right, so you're not sure what you made that first step. You said you started working for your mom. You started working with your mother, your grandmother, and your sister.
Yeah, like my mother, my sister. There's some other people that were trained in this process. It's cool because now I work with, like, I have my own practice, but I also work with the Lefkoe Institute, and they do trainings to teach people how to do it. So now I actually get to be one of the instructors and teach people, which is really fun.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and when you're talking about changing, right? 'Cause I'm assuming that, everyone's listening to this show is wanting to change something. And when we get stuck in our patterns, it can be so hard to change, or we change, we go back to what we do because we're stuck, because we have these beliefs. And by eliminating these beliefs, we're able to change the patterns. And you're able to change the energy in which you show up to things. So, whether it's procrastination or it's drinking or negative self-talk or fear or self-sabotage or relationships or whatever it is, like when you get rid of the beliefs, you give yourself space to change, and you do. And not only do you change, but life changes. Like your life will start to show up differently. And I've had so many calls with people, even on Zoom. And I worked with this woman and she got rid of the belief, people aren't interested in what I have to say. And we hung up and somebody called her and was like, I just found your website and I've been looking for someone that does what you do for so long. And she got a client. And like those kinds of stories happen all the time.
Really?
Yes. People that have money beliefs. Money doesn't come to me and money is hard to get and this and that. And, have a call, eliminate those limiting money beliefs. And they're like, oh my God, I just got this random check in the mail. I just got this business opportunity. I worked with this woman and she messaged me and we finished the call and she went outside and there was just $1 on the street. And it was only $1, but it was the fact that right after we had eliminated that belief, there was money that she didn't have to do anything for right there. With the beliefs I used to have, I would have never attracted him. He wouldn't have been interested in me. He wouldn't have come into my world. It wouldn't have worked. And scientifically, we're energy. We're vibration. So we vibrate on different levels, different frequencies, and we attract things based on where we're vibrating, right? If you smoke crack, you're going to attract crackheads. That's like, you don't have to look for them. You don't have to say anything. That's what's going to show up in your world. If you're an alcoholic, you're going to attract other alcoholics. If you believe that people are not trustworthy, you're going to attract untrustworthy people. And it's no one's fault. You're not trying to do this. It's a completely subconscious thing. But as you start shifting these beliefs, you literally make space for things to show up differently because you're now vibrating on a different frequency. not only are you able to make space for things to show up differently, beliefs are self-fulfilling prophecies, right? If I believe I'm not good enough, I am going to look for and find a million of examples of why I'm not good enough. Oh, see, I didn't get that job. I'm not good enough. Oh, see, that guy didn't ask me on a second date. See, I'm not good enough. Oh, I didn't get invited to that party. See, I'm not good enough. It's just, we look for and we find them everywhere. When that belief goes away, all of a sudden we look at that job we didn't get and we go, maybe I would have been miserable working there. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to get a way better job offer that I'm going to love a lot more and I'm going to make a lot more money. Maybe that company was going to close in a month and I would have had to just train somewhere else. Like, I don't know why I didn't get that job. I don't know that it has anything to do with me. Maybe the guy that does the hiring is just stupid. Maybe he had a bad day. Maybe he's fighting with his wife and he didn't hire me because he was in a bad mood. Doesn't have anything to do with me. So go ahead.
No. I mean, I think it's super interesting. How granular do beliefs get? So when we talked about, so I'm an endurance coach, right? I train people to do like Ironmans and like marathons and ultra marathons and OCRs and stuff like that, right?
Awesome.
And that's what I train people to do. And most of my clientele are over 40. But then I also coach high school cross country and track. Some of these beliefs can go down really granular, like, oh, I don't believe that I can get up in the morning. Like, I need to get up in the morning to work out, but I just can't do that. And that's like a really tiny little belief that I should make up.
So I would say that's a pattern, and we look under that for the beliefs. Why can't you get up in the morning? What is it about you that has you not be able to get up in the morning? So what do you believe about yourself? Whether it's, I don't know, I'm weak, or life's a struggle, or I don't have what it takes. Right? So there's something under that. When you have a pattern, you look for the beliefs that drive that pattern. Here's an interesting thing for what you do. We form beliefs in our childhood, right? Moms and dad are super critical. They're super hard on you. And instead of saying, gosh, my parents have completely unrealistic expectations, or my parents are dysfunctional, or whatever it is, right? We go, oh, it's me. I'm not good enough, right? We see, our dad's drinking and mean and abusive. And we go, oh yeah, no, there's something wrong with me. I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. Right? As kids, we don't go, no, there's something wrong with my dad. He's got serious issues and he's drunk. He's dysfunctional. He's got traumas. He's got emotional baggage. We go, no, it's me. So then what happens is, as we're little and we're walking around with these limiting negative beliefs. For example, I'm not good enough. And I use this because it is the single most common belief that every one of my clients has. Like the first one we always work on, it contributes to every pattern under the sun. And then we get validation. We get praise. We do something, we get straight A's. And our parents are like, oh, we're so proud of you. Good job. We go, oh, okay. I see. The way to be good enough is to achieve. And then we become these like achieving machines. But again, it's never enough. We never achieve enough because we feel like it's what makes us good enough. It's like our survival is dependent upon achieving. So it takes the choice out of it. Oh, I really want to go to my son's baseball game on Saturday, but a work meeting pops up and I'm like, no, I have to go to the meeting. I have to achieve. When you get rid of that belief, what makes me good enough is achieving, you now have a choice. Do you want to go to the game? Do you want to go to the meeting? There's no right answer. But now you have a choice. You're not driven. And so a lot of people feel like what makes me worthwhile, what makes me important, what makes me something is doing this thing. And as long as you have that belief, that survival strategy in place, you have to do that thing. But it never feels like enough. You're not like, oh, I achieved this thing and now I'm happy and I like myself. It doesn't work like that. You need a bigger car and a nicer house and more money and more esteem. It's right.
It's interesting that you say that, especially in this environment that we're in. We keep getting stuff thrown down our throat that billionaires are bad and the upper elite in the echelon is bad. But really, most likely, and from what I hear, it's those billionaires. It's like, hey, you know what? I want to reach $10 million in my bank account because I know that at $10 million, any broker worth his grain of salt can get me 10%. So I can live off the interest and I can make $1 million a year and then I'm good. They get to that point and they're like, oh, I achieved it. I'm there. I can live the rest of my life at $1 million a year and just coast and have a great time and spend time with my family. But then it goes to naught, right? Then there's nothing going on. It feels like there's no purpose.
But the thing is that typically why that's not enough is because there's never a finish line where you're like, oh, I've achieved that thing. Right. What makes me good enough or important or worthy or deserving is achieving.
Exactly. And that's how billionaires become billionaires, is because they start at that one thing. They're thinking that, oh, hey, I just need enough in my bank account so I can live comfortably. And comfortably is not comfortable anymore. Well, because now they've retained that goal. And you're right. You feel the achievement. You got that achievement. Now I needed to achieve more. And now $10 million is not good. Now it's $100 million. Then it's $500 million. Then it's $1 billion. Oh, I'm one of the 912 people in the country that's a billionaire. There's only 50 and it just keeps going and keeps going. And then you know what I mean? And you know what? And I always talk to my first time Ironmans, and most of the time people do an Ironman triathlon as a bucket list item. It's a one and done and they want to get, and they move on. There's what we call the Ironman blues. So you get done and you're completely wrecked. Your body is trashed. And you're like, and you step over the finish line, yay, get your medal, and you walk up to your hotel room afterwards and you gather your stuff and you blah, blah, blah. And usually Ironman's on Saturdays. By Tuesdays, most of those Ironmans are looking for another race. Just for that same reason. I achieved. I need to achieve some more. Mm-hmm. That is an interesting, that like makes it, you just like my mind just went crazy.
That's why you let that like ignorable for you, because I think that so often people are so driven. And again, it's okay to be driven. It's okay to run 10 Ironman. Like it's okay to achieve.
Oh yeah.
But as long as you're coming from a place where you don't feel like your self-worth is tied up with it.
That's it.
And it's the energy behind it. It's where are you coming from? And this is the tricky thing about patterns, is we get stuck in these patterns, whether they're healthy or they're unhealthy. And some people are like, yeah, I have a pattern, but it's really healthy, so it's okay. And I'm like, but you're still stuck. You're still not in control of and I shouldn't say control, but you still don't have a choice in it. You know, and so often we look externally for happiness, for anything. I'll be happy when this happens. You know, I get this job and I get the girl and I do this and I get that. But it's never going to happen, right? You have to be happy from the inside. But when you have beliefs that are keeping you stuck, you can't do that. And so what's so profound about this work is as you eliminate these beliefs, your patterns change. You open up space, you open up choice, you get out of reactivity. And it's across the board, right? Like when I started working on myself, my parenting changed. My relationship with my kid changed. My relationship with his father changed. My relationship with everybody changed. How I was in the world, what showed up for me, how I surfed, what I put in my body, how I took care of myself, how I slept, right? It's just, it affects everything. And
do you find that people actually know what their limited beliefs are on a conscious level?
Some people show up and they're like, there's something wrong with me. I have the belief there is something wrong with me. And a lot of people feel like, yes, I'm just not good enough. So sometimes the first few are pretty easy. I'm not important. I'm not deserving. I'm not worthy. For people pleasing, there's a lot of what other people want is more important, or the way to be good enough is to have people think well of me. There's like a fear associated with saying no, all these things. And sometimes there's not. And then we get to kind of investigate, right? What's the pattern? What's the trigger? What's the feeling? Or what's the emotion? And what are the thoughts and feelings in that emotion? And then you dig and you find belief. So like you said, I can't get out of bed in the morning. Okay, well, that's not a belief. That's a pattern. Why? What is it? What's the emotion? The emotion is dread, fear. Great. What's in the fear? I'm afraid that I don't have what it takes. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake. Great. Do you believe making mistakes and failures are bad? Yes. Do you believe if I make a mistake or fail, I'll be rejected? Yes. Do you believe I don't have what it takes? Right. Together, we find the beliefs that are contributing to the pattern. And some people know them and some people don't. Sometimes they're really subconscious. And when people have a survival strategy that's working, right, you got someone that's a high achiever and you're like, oh, well, do you believe you're good enough? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. Of course I'm good enough. I'm like, okay, well, imagine you don't achieve anything all week. How do you feel about yourself? And they're like, oh my God, terrible. That would be the worst thing in the world that could ever happen. So you're like, okay, so you do believe you're not good enough. You just have a survival strategy that's working, so you're not in touch with it. Do you have people say beliefs to get in touch with them? And people will say them and they're like, you can typically feel a belief in your body. People are like, oh, there's a tightness in my throat or a sinking in my belly or a tightness in my chest, or, like I feel this physical sensation, this emotion in my body. Some people can't even say a belief. Like that's so painful. It's so deep and they can't even say the words. And then you go through this step-by-step process. You get rid of the belief and then you check to make sure it's gone. You say, okay, say it now. And they say it. And they're like, I don't feel anything. It's
Nice.
so silly. It's just like it doesn't resonate at all. So you literally get it out of your body, psyche, however deep rooted it is. And it's gone. You actually get rid of it. You pull the problem out at its roots. And what's incredible about this work is, unlike a lot of therapies where you just keep going, people come see me 5-10 sessions and they're on their way.
Nice.
They handle what they came for. Typically they'll handle some other things because they're like, oh, well, this really works. So I'll work on this pattern and this pattern and this pattern. And then they're back in life.
That's really amazing because that's how my business model is. I run my business model by the race. I don't expect anybody to come back. I'm like, I'm going to get you ready for that race. You're going to go to that race. You're going to kick butt. And then you're gone. Because most people are bucket listers, especially at that age, right? Because it's over 40. Most of my people are 40. But I've got people that have been with me for 10 years. Race after race after race. And they love it. I think that's the difference. Achievement versus actually truly loving it. Loving the sport. Loving what you're doing. So that, with that being said, here's my question for you. Are there healthy patterns?
Sure.
Okay. The way that you were talking about, that's a pattern. So I just want to make sure that people understand that, hey, I'm coming from a professional. No, yes, it is okay to have this healthy pattern, right?
Oh, absolutely. A healthy pattern could be eating well or having good relationships, attracting positive things in your life.
Yeah.
We do, we have all kinds of patterns. The only patterns that I want to help people get rid of are ones that are in their way.
Yeah.
What I love doing, what like really just gets me super excited is you get people to a functional place, right? You get rid of the anxiety, you get rid of the fear or the unhealthy fear, right? You get rid of the dysfunction. And then it's like, okay, now what? What do you want your life to look like? And what's in the way of you living that? So like, how do we get you to live your authentic life aligned with your passions and values? Like, what does that look like? And what's standing in the way of you living it? Wow. Get rid of that stuff. And, people are like, wait, you live in Hawaii and you get to like wing foil every day and you get to tow foil and you get to do this thing and you get to go pick fruit and you get to eat this. And I'm like, yes, like I live this amazing life that is super in line with what I'm passionate about for work. Like I love my work. I love my clients. I love getting to help them get to where they want to be. Like it's amazing. It's so fulfilling.
If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Totally.
Yeah, I love that. So, yeah. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right here. The ability to, like she said, 5 or 10 sessions and able to remove those limiting beliefs, take a look at unhealthy patterns and find out why you have them in the first place. These are things that trap us all. You want something, you want to make a change, you want to get a better job, you want to start a new career, you want to live your best life. Personal development is one way to do it, and the Lefkoe Method is another way to do it. So Blake has it's a very simple URL, blakelefkoe.com. So you go ahead and take a look at there, and she's got questions for you to think about. She's got a way to schedule a free call, and she's got some great testimonials. Oh, and look at that. We also have some photos of her dad and in different stages of their lives. So it's great. So you should go ahead and take a look at that and, get yourself schedule your free call. Go ahead.
So thank you so much for that. And yeah, if you go to the website, the free call, there's no obligation. I'm not going to push anything. I'm not going to try to sell you. It's like a place for you to tell me what's going on. I can tell you how I can help you. You can questions, doubts, comments, concerns, anything. It's really just a free discovery call for whatever you want it to be. And if that's all you want it to be, that's totally fine.
That is wonderful. That's a great service, and I appreciate you doing that. But are you on any socials?
Oh my gosh, everyone keeps telling me that I need to make an Instagram account, and I hate it so much.
I literally do it to get listeners. My Facebook is personal, but Instagram, TikTok, well, it's all the same freaking content. I just shoot it over to that, but it's all just to get more eyes on the podcast and my other business. That's it. That's all
What I need to do is find a client who does social media and just trade them. Be like, you can do my social media and I'll give you free sessions. I'll work on manifesting that.
You know what? AI is doing wonderful things right now. So yeah, you might want to just, look into that, and just because there's ways for you to take 2-3 hours and make the posts, plot them in the calendar, and not have to think about it for another 30 days.
Oh, Cash and I are really good friends.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's so many more. It's crazy. But anyway, so I just want to say, Blake, thank you so much. I think this has given a lot of really good information. We're all about knowledge nuggets here, nuggets of wisdom that can move you in a new direction where you want to go. And we are going to have a discussion on ayahuasca and what that was all about, because I think that might be something that opened you up. And another friend, that she said the same thing. It started pointing her in the right place. So we'll have that discussion.
Very powerful medicine. It's not for everybody, but it's very intense.
Yeah. So anyway.
Thanks so much for having me on.
I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate you coming on. So, but for all of you watching, you might be watching us on YouTube. If you can go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you always know when the next episode is dropping. We definitely appreciate that. If you are watching or listening on Apple or Spotify, if you can either leave a comment, which now Spotify does, or give us a review. And I don't even care if it's a good review, because if it's a bad review, that just means it gives me more information to keep evolving this podcast. So thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us today. For Blake and myself, have a great, we'll see you in the next one.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Life-Changing Challengers. I'm your host, Brad Minus, saying thank you for joining us on this journey of transformation. If today's stories inspired you, please take a moment to review, share, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us reach more listeners and create an even bigger impact. Remember, every challenge is a chance to grow. Until next time, keep pushing, keep challenging, and never stop pursuing your extraordinary.